YouTube channel. So to get myself out of the nervous, I have to start somewhere, right? So this is why we're doing this. I opened studio and wanted to, because I have a passion for my art and I know that I'm good and I can teach people how to paint if they really want to, right? But at this moment, we're just practicing to see what I can do here. My little light thing doesn't work. I don't know why it does that, but you know. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that I got my name is C. Lee, I am love to paint, so wanted to invite you guys. And if I look scary, I'm sorry. I'm just nervous because I've never done this before. Like, I've done it, but not often enough to where I can say I'm really good, at talking. So hopefully you guys can see me okay. I'm gonna grab some paint, and I hope that we can do this daily. And I hope that I can build inspiration to everybody and bring you guys along. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some paint. I don't understand why my Sophie thing keeps losing its light. God, that's so... Well, I guess we won't need it today, huh? All right, so what I'm painting today is gonna be a sunflower. All right. But I need to make the background. I Okay, 3 minutes so far. I hope that I can get somebody to jump in, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna start with an old painting canvas that I didn't like, some painting some stuff on it. Okay, now let's see. I need to add some water, which I did not grab, so it's okay. I'm just gonna start painting a little bit here and then go from there. Okay, so obviously the canvas was already white, but we get intimidated, right? So now I'm just gonna just do this. There's a reason, because I have an image that I have in mind. So I'm gonna do this real quick, and then I'm gonna do that. Don't worry about the texture, because I'm not. And then once I do that, okay, and then I'm gonna just fill in a little bit of the, make a little mess. And I do have a sunflower image that I'm gonna use, okay? I will move my camera, but my camera's being weird, so I'm not gonna do that. But I'm just gonna start painting, and I hope that you guys will like it. And just introduce yourself. I don't know if you guys like to eat. I love dry mango from Costco. Look at that. Yummy. I decided to go live, not to be like planned, you know, it was just a last minute kind of thing. So I'm sorry I wasn't prepared, but I didn't want to get nervous. So I'm gonna grab some more water. So I just started, hey, you know what, better just do it, right, than wait till I'm ready, because I'm never ready. But I just wanted to kind of paint and hope that you guys will follow along. I'm eating some dry mango, so hopefully fills me up. So what I'm doing here is a dry flower, sunflower. Say hi. I'm gonna grab some gray just so I can start sketching. I had never done a live before to this, I don't know, extent. So I'm gonna do this. This is just kind of to get me warm up, okay, for my painting. So we got leaf here, got some stem. It's a sunflower. You guys know what I'm saying, right? And then, so we're just gonna focus on the painting and not me, okay? I'm just using some Craft Smart painting because I'm going to be teaching a class, so this is why I'm doing this painting. I wanted to show the class the results, right? So I'm a really frugal kind of person. I don't like to waste paint, so this is what I'm going to do, is use what I have already. Okay, so let me get the little outline. So if you missed this, it's just a painting that I'm doing for a bridal bachelorette party, and I'm just wanting to get this going for a little bit before we actually gets, because this Saturday is the painting. My son filled this up and he put 2 red in there. Okay, just gonna let that be. I have a reference picture and it's got some black in the back, so I better, God, that was too much black, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna use what I have here. My reference picture has black in the background here, and I know that I should have done that first before I did the sunflower, but I was impatient. Plus, I wanted the black to not cover up my sunflower, you know? Because I know that the paint can dry and then it will get, the black will get and make it too dark. If you guys know what I mean, like you want to, so this is going to be the sunflower here. And I like what the placement is. Okay, and then we just go ahead and start doing that. And I don't like to rinse a lot because I like to see how my color comes up, you know, mixed up. So if you guys are particular and you like to be picky, you know, that's fine, but this is how I like to paint. And then we're just gonna make the background a little bit messy. So it kind of blends it right in. It's like a figo, you know? In my image, there is black. It's the sky in the front. The only time I really focus on changing the background is when I'm going to a totally lighter color, which I'm not. And you know, but this is just the background. We're not doing anything yet, so. I guess I should have moved the flower a little bit over because I did give myself enough room to do the grass. But that's okay, you know, because that's why I had the placement there to start sketching. That's just how I paint. So you guys can do whatever you want, but this is just how I do it. I kind of sketch it and I'm like, okay, I don't like it. Let me kind of move that there. And you can do it yourself if you like. Thanks for watching. I don't know who's watching, but you know what? We're just doing this because I wanted to get myself out of the nerve of going live, right? So I'm gonna make this sunflower a little bit more towards this way. I'm gonna rinse that off.
as I had, so he had to be 45 minutes from the office. He missed every single morning when I got there before him. He missed all the times that he left and couldn't come back where I could. Proximity will make you more money. In this case, it might be actually the better gym where the classes are full of people that you might actually meet somebody who wants to invest in your business, wants to hire you, whatever. My friend Sahil Bloom became very close with the former head of Apple for that exact reason. I also think joining a co-working space instead of your kitchen table, it costs you money not to be in the room with other winners. I think I joined 3 or 4 masterminds before I made all my cash because you're paying for who else paid to be in the exact same room and stealing their 10,000 hours. This isn't just me. A Harvard economist studied millions of people, and he basically mapped billions of friendships using Facebook data. You know what's crazy? If you think about it like this, the single strongest predictor of whether someone climbs out of their economic bracket wasn't their school, their neighborhood, or their income. In fact, if you thought about the clusters of what happened, it was actually who did they know that had a lot of money. It was whether their social circle actually touched people, not just at their same socioeconomic level, but did they climb a rung and another rung and another rung? What's the translation here? Your network is a measurable input to your income. You know that saying, like your network is your net worth? It turns out that the data actually shows this is true. It's a lot easier to change your environment than it is to change your habits, so I would start here. Actually, I have something for you. Knowing how valuable proximity can be, I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm putting together one of the largest events ever for owners on September 18th. It's completely free. I'm giving away millions of dollars of prizes, and you get to be online with owners looking to scale their businesses live. You can sign up here in the description. Like I said, completely free. I'm going to teach you everything I know about building profitable businesses. This is how you change your life. Research shows that how you take care of yourself in your presentation actually makes you more money. People who are rated as attractive actually earned, this shocked me, 20% more on average. So the way you look matters. I think, like, don't hit the player, hit the game. Ridiculously expensive beauty things I do that are actually worth it. I'll start high, then we'll go low. First, like, this is for chicks, but you can get it for your girl. PRP, this is like where they microneedle your own blood, or now they actually microneedle crazy things in your face, like salmon semen and other stuff. So I think that's probably like 5K depending on what level, if you do peptides inside of it. Next, something called Halo. That's like 3 to 5K, super intense lasers that laser your face but genuinely make you look 5 years younger. Then stuff like Sculptra. This basically pulls back your face, kind of like fill in collagen. I'm not a doctor, I don't know. I'm just telling you stuff I do to try to not look 40. Sculptra is gonna run you a couple K. And then like a facial, which is basically on the cheaper side, that's gonna be a couple hundred. But maybe the really inexpensive things that I do, you can get these red lights that are amazing for your face. This one's literally sits on my desk every day. I also have one that I lay down with, because most of what actually works isn't expensive at all. Like, I use the red lights. I highly recommend that. I use a lot of organic products like Osea. I really like their stuff and all their oils. Pretty much across the board, as much organic makeup as you can. Now for dudes, you can actually these days do all these same things that chicks do. And I think it's actually an underrated hack for men to look hotter. Don't look weird though. Don't do like shiny, don't do fillers, don't get crazy. Unless you're going for the RuPaul look. And then, you know, good for you. Most people at this point say that you should have a financial advisor. I actually would say no. I think you should have a tax advisor. So once you've made, in my opinion, at least a couple $100K a year, you're probably overpaying in taxes, and especially if you're an employee, you need to figure out a way for the IRS to take less from you legally, because nobody looks good in orange. What's the difference between a tax advisor and a financial advisor? A financial advisor, well, they get paid differently. They usually take a percentage cut on every single dollar they have sitting with them that you get an investment from. I actually love that. If I were you, I would just put it in I'll tell you what to do. I'd just put it in a Vanguard or a Fidelity, some sort of cheap structure, dollar cost average, continue to invest over the long time, allow it to compound. But that doesn't help you at all with your earned income. So a tax advisor will actually tell you, okay, why don't we structure this LLC, have these earnings go through it so that we can use that to decrease your actual cost basis, the amount of money that you give to the IRS each year. Tax sounds fancy, but it's actually just the way that most people stay rich. People actually have a fund for getting into things, like a down payment fund, a start the business fund. Almost nobody has a fund for getting out of it. This is important because the exit is almost always more expensive than the entry. And it's the one cost nobody budgets for until they're already trapped and paying it in a panic. For the exit fund, this is a separate account whose only job is buying your way out. This is how you break your lease. You eat a cancellation fee. You pay a kill fee to walk away from a client or vendor that's quietly draining you. You don't touch it for anything else. Why? The truth is, most of us are too scared of the exit cost to admit things aren't working out. So we just stay and pay a slower, quieter price instead. Before you commit to anything, price out exactly what it costs to undo it, not just what it costs to start it. So before you sign that lease, that contract, or that 12-month vendor agreement, ask what walking away costs in month 6. Put that number aside before you sign. Some of the most disciplined companies on earth, they're gonna pay people to quit on purpose, which is wild. Like Amazon offers warehouse employees an actual cash payment to leave. In Jeff's own words, the goal is making people stop and think about what they really want. Because an employee who stays somewhere they don't want to be, that's not healthy for you or the business. If a big company is willing to pay 5 figures just to buy back the option of a clean exit, that tells you something about what staying trapped costs you. So before the end of the day, write a list of your 3 to 5 expenses you want to kill. Name it something that keeps you honest. I like exit fund. I also like the fuck you fund, meaning you can walk out at any point if you don't like them and say, you know what? Every time you sign something recurring, basically add its kill fee to the total you're saving towards. So I want to talk about the food. I don't think clean eating is just like a signal. This stuff really matters, like actual food. The stuff a plant or an animal would recognize prepared by a human instead of a drive-through window. There's so many studies on this, you guys. Young adults and older adults show the same pattern. Every meaningful increase in ultra-processed food tracks to worse memory and concentration. You cannot make a ton of money, negotiate a deal, or show up for your kid's game right on a brain that's been running on gas station calories all day forever. There's a bunch of studies that also show people spend an average of 7 hours a week cooking. So I don't know, like maybe use a healthy meal prep service. I use one. It gets delivered to your door every week. You can skip the expensive shopping trip. Like also interesting, there are all these prepared food companies like Factor Meals or Tempo. They're like $200-300 a week for 21 meals. So for some people, this is a no-brainer. Others, the buyback rate doesn't work out. Do the math, see what works for you. We have a chef that cooks for us. It costs about $60 an hour. And in about 3 hours, they can cook enough food for us for 3 days. So actually, when you look at that cost, it's sort of a no-brainer. People assume eating well is really expensive automatically. And 2 fast food meals a day for a household actually adds up faster than a grocery run. Before the end of the day, what's your one action? Throw out that old stuff that's in your desk drawer that you probably shouldn't be eating anyway and restock it with something that's gonna go bad if you don't eat it today. This is really unpopular advice. I will not invest in a founder unless they already have an assistant. People hate this advice, but I got it given to me by a billionaire. And when I saw the data, I was actually like pretty shocked on this. Harvard Business found that execs who work with a skilled assistant have 20 to 30% higher productivity and make more money. A good assistant actually doesn't cost you money in the long term. They make you money because of all the hours you waste on your own admin previously. Okay, I have 2 things I want you to tattoo on your forehead if you want to make more money. First is what's called Cato. I think I originally stole this from Tim Ferriss and I might have updated it slightly myself. What does this mean? Cut, automate, delegate, outsource. So what I do first is I obsess on all the things that I should not do. Obviously Netflix and chill, but other things like, do I really need to be organizing my email list? Like, should I just not do that? So those are my kill items. Second, automate. Hey, I have to read email? Okay, well, can I use something like Superhuman, which is the software I use, that automates all of my email inbox management better? Great. Okay, if Superhuman isn't sufficient, this is when I bring in usually a virtual assistant. They can cost you like a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 a month, and they will actually do anything that you want to delegate. And fully outsourcing might mean hiring an EA or another member of your team to do this job entirely. They're not even reporting back to you, they're just executing on it. You start with the lowest level tasks from a dollar perspective, and you climb to the highest level tasks from a dollar perspective. Now, let's say that you're listening to me, and you're like, Cody, I want to make more money, and I need more time to focus on selling things. Let me show you how to scale up the assistant ladder. The assistant ladder essentially has 3 rungs on it. Rung one is a virtual assistant. This is part-time, overseas, cheap. You can basically get this for $200 to $3,000 a month. 3,000 is full-time, by the way. You use this for any inbox scheduling, repetitive tasks. This clears the buyback rate for almost everybody watching. Rung two is actually an assistant. This person is in-house, more trustworthy. They could still be remote, but they know more about you, and they can be used to filter out unimportant daily life tasks. Then we've got the chief of staff. This runs projects end to end, makes the calls you'd make, walks into a room and can actually brief them on it and say, Cody's not gonna like that, Cody is gonna like this. You know, this, I like to train them up to do it. This is the top of the ladder. Most of you aren't there yet, but you don't know where you're gonna go unless you start here. So let's say this one costs $2,000 to $3,000. Let's say this one costs $50,000 all the way to $250,000. Let's say a chief of staff probably costs around $125,000. These people can do it. They can have $300,000. This is really important because whenever you let go of the priority you both have them, because it's faster than you need to do. That line is faster if you just do it, and probably why you're really want to do it. And it's usually when you're everything's faster. But when it's faster, it's 50%. So the upgrade here is most of the time doing it and doing it. I actually think this before the end of the day, we're going to three tasks, even the rest of that is how you specifically using tools. That works for your job, for your business, for your work. That's why I'm talking about that. So this is one of the actual things that's in your space you have. It's associated with tired people make expensive decisions. So like if you really zoom out, chronic short-term sleep cost the U.S. economy $411 billion a year in lost productivity. That is wild. It's basically a giant liability. So what do I do to improve my sleep? Really, really simple. One, a hard mattress. There's a lot of studies that show these are better, and not like an old mattress. And if you have an old mattress, you really need to replace it every 5 to 10 years. Two, I hyper believe in this one, but it is expensive. 8 Sleep. I got a discount code for you guys. You can click the link below. I don't even think I make money on this anymore, so you guys just take the $600 or whatever it is off this. This has been a game changer for my sleep. You want to go way cheaper than this? Earplugs and a face mask. This is the whole list. Like, you don't need an Oura ring, you don't need a Whoop, you don't need sleep tracking, you don't really need the 8 Sleep. It's just sick if you have a couple $1,000 to spend on it. So let's run the buyback rate on this. If 8 Sleep is about $5K, for instance, to get the whole thing, plus like de minimis, like let's call it like $100 for everything else that I just mentioned, the face mask, the earplugs, maybe a little bit better of a pillow, what are you looking at? At 2,500 hours a year, that's like a $2 buyback rate. So that's kind of a no-brainer if you've ever underslept and that decision has cost you in a negotiation, in your business, or in your life. Next, I want to think about, wow, and my favorite thing to upgrade is always YOU, but I have a really particular way to do it. I call this the repeat rule. And here's how I like to think about it. How many times, if you acquire this skill, will you repeat its use? So if it's sales, that's probably 1,000 times. It's going to keep showing up in your paycheck. If it's negotiation, that's probably at least 100 times. So the higher the number of times you're going to repeat it, the more you're going to want it. Sometimes I also think about something called the tattoo rule. Like if I could take this skill, tattoo it on my body or my brain so I would never forget it, would I rather have that or the money back to learn it? Pretty quickly you're going to realize the things that you use again and again and again, you wish that you could tattoo on your brain, and that's when you decide the skills that stick. My most important skills ever, negotiation. That's why I obsess on people learning how to buy businesses. Sales, because CEO is Chief Sales Officer. Operations and processes. That's why we actually run an entire event learning how to run a business. Because even if you're the best salesperson, if you don't understand profitability, you're going to go out of business, which is actually what we're teaching live at our event on September 18th. It will be every single step I've used to buy a business. I can promise you, if you learn the game of business, which is really the game of money, it's really hard to go broke. The most important thing to upgrade going forward, we've talked about it before, is your time.
I want you to think about the most unhinged things you could do right now to buy back your time. For me, that's like my nail lady comes to my office every single time I get it done. I never go to the nail salon. By the way, so does my hair and makeup artist. So does the person who even dyes my hair comes into the office. So does my stylist who brings me clothes. Oh, by the way, so does my chef who drops off my food here. I know I sound like a really high maintenance broad, but how else do you build a 9-figure company, plus have a husband that you love and hang out with, plus be pregnant, plus like want to have friends and family and travel around? Like, this is where I buy back all my time from all the nonsense. And I swear to God, you guys, somebody is going to tell you, this is so dumb, must be nice. And I'm going to tell you, that's why that person will never be as successful as you want to be. I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but you are the biggest reason why you aren't successful. And it is typically because you are not valuing your time properly. And the second you break through that and you get out of your head what I used to think too, which is this is so elitist having all this stuff. Like, this is kind of gross buying all of that. Can't you do anything for yourself? It's like the FIRE movement infected our brains and made us think that in order to have a good life, we had to be minimal and be in the FIRE movement and save every penny. No, guys, the world's hugely abundant. There's more money and opportunity and wealth than you could ever imagine out here. And the best thing is, at a certain point, it doesn't have to cost you more time to do it all. In fact, you can work less, have more fun, and make more once you learn this thing that only rich people do. Every guru online is telling you the exact same thing. Run more ads, hook harder, post 3 times a day, build the funnel, give away a free PDF, sell cheap or sell expensive, just pick one. I've heard it all. And I am here to tell you today that almost none of that is how I grew them. The real problem is something else entirely. Everyone teaching business growth learned it from building one business, usually a personal brand, usually info products. Those are the people on the internet. And usually they sell ads. I learned it from buying and operating dozens of businesses across all industries. That's a totally different school. There are 6 ways to grow a business fast. Most people know 1. I'm going to give you all 6. And I'm going to tell you something that most educators won't. The fastest one has nothing to do with marketing. Lever 1, what I call the premium flip. You're gonna flip from competing on price to competing on value. Hard truth, you have likely been undercharging for years. I can say that without knowing anything about your business. I mean, I've looked at thousands and thousands of businesses, and as an investor, the problem is almost never prices set too high, it's that you don't value yourself enough. So I bought an online education business that was selling its content for $29 a month. The owner hadn't raised prices in 3 years, convinced himself that the market wouldn't bear it, all of his clients were too cheap. First thing I did was just test that. I raised the price, not from 29, but to $299 a month. 10 times what it had been. Do you know how many of our customers we lost, you guys? We lost 30% of our customers. Annual revenue went way up. So the owner had just been leaving money on the table for years, not because the market wouldn't pay, because he never asked. By the way, don't forget, on $1 million business, 20% increase in prices is $200,000 in new revenue without you having to find a single customer. You spent 3 years trying to grow from 800K to $1 million. You could have done it in 30 days. What's crazy is there's a bunch of studies like this one that show 55% of companies surveyed by Bain were able to raise list prices and make more money. What to do? Here's how to know if you can raise prices. Won't I lose more customers if I raise prices, Cody? I know, lots of people ask this. The truth is, price-sensitive customers are often what? Tell me in the comments. The worst. They jump ship the second a cheaper option comes along. By raising prices, you have to actually filter all those people out. You find your fans. Then they'll say, tell me if this is you thinking in your head, what if my competitors undercut me? Your prices shouldn't be your selling point. If somebody wants to buy something cheaper, you just go, yeah, you could buy it cheaper, but cheaper doesn't mean better. When you're the best at what you do, price becomes the least important thing. So remember, your aim in business is to get some sort of a monopoly, right? That's the ability to set your own prices. Okay, what do I mean by this? I mean, what you're looking for in your business is the ability for you to create unique value. Here's how you can tell. Are you selling out? You can't keep inventory on shelves. When you're drowning in orders, it's a clear signal the market wants to pay you more for your offer. So raise your prices. Second, if you haven't raised your prices in 1 year or more, then it's about time to raise your prices. 2 to 5% annual bump at least. Your costs have certainly increased, so you're gonna lose money by not increasing your prices. The third is, what are your competitors doing? Are they charging more than you? More often than not, they are. So price can be an indicator of value. Don't let low prices actually paint a wrong picture that you're cheap because you should be. I mean, think about it for a second. Like imagine that super fancy Louis Vuitton bag. What if it cost 30 bucks? High-end brands are not scared about their prices because it filters out penny pinchers and signals value. Let me tell you right now how to double the amount of revenue you have in your business if you don't have these. Number one, do you just sell things one time or do you have a subscription? If you don't have a subscription, add it. Number two, do you have pricing tiers? Low, medium, high? Most people choose the medium, so make sure that that is actually the price that you want. And add some money options that feel uncomfortable to you because there just might be people willing to pay them. Finally, upsells. If they buy your medium tier, what else do they have that if they can do a little add-on, like throwing gum at the grocery store at the counter when you get there, that will increase what's called your LTV, your lifetime value, or also your average order value, your AOV. If you don't have these three things, you need to do this right now. Also, if you're cheaper than most of the market, you're underpriced. So raise your prices 10 to 30% on your next 10 customers. Track the conversion. We call this 10 to 10 to 30, which means check your next 10 customers, first raise by 10%, then give the next 10 customers a 30% increase. Check what happens here. Who does this work for? Any business that hasn't raised their prices lately. That's you. Comment below if this is you or if you have questions on your pricing. I'll tell you directly how I would do it for you. Lever two, open a new distribution channel. So you're likely selling through one channel right now. I think about that like being your core. But we've got to start adding new distribution nodes to your core. This means adding retail to wholesale, local to national. Maybe you get a licensing deal. B2C instead of just B2B, direct sales to referral partnerships, a physical location, and then adding some online sales. Most people confuse distribution with social media only, but distribution is actually a repeatable system to put your product in front of a new type of buyer. So if you're do this in 1 week. You don't add 5 channels, you add 1. And then E, expand what already works. Once a new channel produces customers consistently, double down. Who does this work for? Any business with a product, but you feel like you've maxed out your current buyer pool. That is who this works for. And I think it's probably you. There's hidden money for you right now. It's just standing right alongside your current distribution channel. Lever 3 is the invisible raise. So this is how you cut $200K in money you were spending for no reason and thus make a ton more money. I think too many people ignore the fact that when you cut from your business, you don't just make that money, you have what's called a multiple. Like the profit hits your account the same way, but also your business is worth more later because it's more profitable. So back in the day when I first bought my very first business, it was tiny, like a $100,000 transaction, and it made $67,000 a year. It was a tiny little laundromat. And what's crazy is even in that business, there was a ton of extra expense in there. And so I was like, wait a second, why do we have to have an operator there all the time when I could put these machines in as a one-time cost and they could just run it absentee with nobody else there? I don't have to keep paying a salary. Well, we needed security on site because things would happen at night. Well, what if I just put up lights and I have a camera system on it, then I don't need security every day. So like, every day your business grows, you have more bloat, more expenses that don't actually matter. Costs will kill your business. We need to kill them for you. Here's my little secrets for what you should do next. You're gonna walk through the last 3 months of all the things you spent money on. You're gonna circle your top 10 costs and put a star next to anything that doesn't directly make you money. Now you cut, renegotiate, or replace, CRR, at least 3 of them in the next week. Otherwise, you'll just put it off by always focusing on trying to find more revenue. So the goal here is, if it doesn't make you money, it needs to justify its existence. It's like that boyfriend that you know you probably should have broken up with already. If it's not there to help you, it's gone. Most of your growth is already in your bank account. It's actually just leaking out. So you gotta plug the holes first. Who does this work for? Any business that scaled fast in the last 2 years and hasn't looked at its costs since. And if you wanna do this fast, I've got you. Let me give you a little free tool. It's called the 13-week cash flow tracker. And if you go on the link in my description, it's my gift to you, free, and it's a really easy way to see where you're spending money. Half of growing a business is just stopping the dumb stuff. But there's 2 things that I really want you to do. One, I want you to stop spending all this money on ads when you don't actually know if it's making your business profitable or not. If you don't know these 3 words, if you don't know what every customer's LTV is, what everybody's client acquisition cost is, what everybody's AOV, average order value is, then you need to take a minute and write those down and not spend $1 more on ads until you figure those 3 out. Because the truth is, you're only credible on saying ads are going to make you more money if you actually know how much it costs you and what the ROI, the return on investment, is for every dollar you spend. And while we're talking about credibility, the only other thing that I want you to really ponder, what pricing is all about, is signaling that you're worth what you charge. And I want to talk about one of the places most business owners give it away before the conversation even starts: your domain name. Most default to .com, but .com is oversaturated. Like, clean professional names are gone. So smart operators are settling for more clunky, hyphenated alternatives. When a potential customer lands on trybizName123.com, you've already lost them. But something like Cody.online, clean, professional, immediately credible, easy to read, easy to remember, and it looks like the domain of a legit business. So whether you're a service provider, consultant, restaurant, or e-commerce seller, over 3.5 million businesses worldwide already use it. And because the word online shows up in over 500 million monthly searches, it gives your site a real SEO edge. You can get a .online domain at all major website builders and domain providers like GoDaddy, Namecheap, Squarespace, Lovable, and the likes. But if you want a special deal in the first year, go to the link on my screen or get in the description below and get a .online domain for your business website at just 99 cents today. I got you. Then you can run ads. Lever 4, the rich buyout. Here's how you buy customers. So the fastest way to grow your business isn't by buying one customer at a time, aka Facebook ads. It's by buying another business that has inside of it a ton of customers. So you are buying customers many at a time. This could be a competitor who's retiring, a complementary business whose customers would buy from you tomorrow. Maybe you've got a really struggling operator who has customers but bad systems. The difference going from one to many is 10 years on average. But I can almost guarantee that this doesn't even feature in your to-do list for growing your business. Why? Because everybody online, they've told you to just get more leads, go and spend more, do cooler ads, go to Facebook, give all your money to Zuckerberg. I'll tell you to buy the company that actually has all the customers instead of having to go find them one-on-one. On one end of the scale, you have Amazon, who has 200 million Prime members, and they cracked books, electronics, cloud computing, streaming. But one category kept beating them. Which one? Do you guys remember? Well, it was the category of groceries at Whole Foods. So instead of spending a decade trying to get individual people to shop with them, they wrote a check and they used a lot of their stock to do it. Now that was a big check for them. It's not gonna be that big for us. That was 13.7 billion. But what did they get for it? They didn't get one store even. They got 460 stores. Millions of affluent, rich, health-conscious shoppers who locked in weekly to buy from Amazon. So Amazon basically bought their way into the grocery business. They used smart financing to do it, not dissimilar to seller financing, and then they got tons of revenue and profit on day one. On the more normal people end of the scale, for you and I did the same thing at the Main Street level. Remember that laundromat I bought for $100K? It made me $67K a year when I had to shove the door open with my shoulder, get into the building. Well, I actually didn't stop there. I bought 2 more. Bought another one for $300K. I used seller financing to do it. That one made me like 120-ish K a year. Then I bought one for $1 million. I rolled all 3 into a single entity and sold it for millions of dollars. Why? Because when you added this up, we're talking about, $677,000 that I got from that one business. And then I bought the adjacent businesses that were already cash flowing there. And then I thought about buying the real estate and I combined them all. This is the move. So usually I talk about buying businesses straight up, but McKinsey actually found bolt-on acquisitions where you buy within your existing industry. They have an 80 to 85% success rate, which is crazy. So before you say you can't afford to buy it, remember, 60% of small businesses, they sell with some version of seller financing, which means it doesn't have to be your money. You often don't need the full purchase price up front. Here's how I do it. I call it rich. R, find the right seller. Find someone who wants out more than they want top dollar. I, income first. Only buy businesses with cash flow, no negative cash flow. C, creative financing. SBA loans, seller financing. You don't need all the money, you need the deal structured right. And then H, hand off and optimize. Keep the customers, but make the systems better. Then you grow from there. Who does this work for? Any operator with 500K in revenue and access to SBA credit. That is probably you. Lever 5, the back pocket revenue. It was already there. You just weren't reaching for it. What do you think is the easier sell? Someone who's never heard you or somebody who just paid you? It sounds obvious, but almost everybody gets it wrong. I think one of the most underrated business truths is it's way more profitable to send your current customer new things than to find new customers. I think about this like a wallet share play. You're taking an existing share of the wallet, not finding new ones. So this is like the landscaper who adds snow removal, the bookkeeper who adds payroll, the gym that adds nutrition coaching. None of those businesses needs a single new customer to grow revenue. They need to look at where their existing customers already are. You can literally turn one income stream into 8. I see this all the time. I have a landscaper named Jorge, and he's cut my grass for years. Good at his job, shows up, gets it done. I swear, in all of those years, he has never once mentioned tree trimming, I don't know, seasonal cleanup, do something with the hedges. Every year, I start the conversation. I'm like, Jorge, hey, are we trimming my trees this year? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then the following year, the same thing. That is $1,000 a year per customer that you are leaving on the table every single year. I think he thinks he's running landscape business, but he actually runs a relationships business that happens to cut grass and do things with landscaping. So it doesn't surprise me then when Wharton School Research found the probability of selling to an existing customer is up to 14 times higher than a new one. And it costs up to 25 times more to find the new customer in the first place. So the marketing industry will tell you get more leads because that's what keeps ad budgets alive. The operator playbook says keep what you've already built. So here's your test. What is your best customer buying from someone else right now that you could be offering? That gap is your next revenue line. Lastly, the lever that requires the least effort but the most nerve. Lever 6 is one of my favorites, the Rainmaker rule. This is so underrated, nobody does it. I want you to buy talent that comes with customers. I've never seen anyone teach this. Forget just hiring A players. Can you bring somebody in who brings their book of business with them? Like a financial advisor who brings managed assets, a salesperson who brings existing client relationships, the operator who knows every name in the market, maybe the technician with 200 loyal clients who will follow them anywhere. That last person is worth more than your entire LinkedIn recruiter subscription. Like cancel that too, while we're cutting costs. I call this the Rainmaker rule because you hire customers that are attached to talent. Most people find a business first, then go find someone to work in it. I did it that way too for a while, but now if I meet the right person, I do it completely backwards. Find the operator first, then find the business for them to run. I'll meet someone at a conference or through a deal, and someone maybe has been in a specific industry for 20 years, but they know all these customers by name. Well, great. Instead of asking, what business are you trying to sell me? I ask, what business should we buy for you to run? I learned this the hard way when I was building a big asset management business in Latin America. I was starting from zero, building from scratch in markets I didn't even know. The hires that actually moved the needle weren't the best resumes. They weren't even the sharpest credentials. They were the people who showed up with relationships, customers attached to them. And I've brought that into so many businesses. So often ask yourself, can you go bring somebody into what you're already doing and then see if they bring you clients and pay them for every client they bring you over? You don't even have to pay them more upfront. The person who already knows the market is worth more than the business itself sometimes. One hire and you're paying for a customer list attached to a human being. When you find someone like this, you go direct. The 1-to-1 ratio is how you figure out how much to pay them. You go and see how much you get charged for bringing on one client with ads, like in Facebook. You give them slightly less than that amount for each client they bring on board. This works for any business, service businesses, professional services, home services. So here's the question. which lever is yours? You can start out and maybe you need levers 2 and 3. You nail your pricing before you scale. Maybe if you're already there, you need to raise your prices. Maybe you need to sell more to existing customers. All I know for sure is somewhere in your business right now, there is one lever that will take you to a whole new comma. Tell me below which one you think is yours. I'll help you out. Something is running your life right now. It's deciding how much money you make, how much freedom you have, and whether you scale or stay stuck. But most people have no idea it even exists. It's called micro decisions, tiny invisible choices you make on autopilot thousands of times a day. They feel like nothing, but over time they're actually dictating your life, which is why your calendar is always full, you feel stuck, busy but not free. And no, this is not a video about working harder. It's about finding the hidden system running your time, money, and energy. We're gonna flip it to work for you. Because the people winning right now, they're not doing more. They're doing less on purpose. Let me give you one example. This is UPS. So UPS, their drivers, they don't turn left. I'm not joking. It's literal company policy. They redesigned their routing software to avoid left turns to save time at lights. And that saved over 10 million gallons of fuel. That cut 100 million miles off driving and added $1 billion to their bottom line. One micro decision multiplied thousands of times. So where is your $1 billion decision? Let's break this down. Chapter 1, what are the micro decisions? Why should you care? Imagine your life as an airport. You've got somewhere important to be. Freedom, money, time back, whatever your destination is. Now look down. Some of the floors are moving walkways. You step on and the walkway either pushes you forward or holds you back. That's what micro decisions are. Tiny repetitive choices. You make them without even thinking. Do I follow up now or wait? Do I check my phone first thing or don't? Do I systematize this or redo it again tomorrow? You don't think of them as real decisions, but they are. And they move you either closer to your goals or further from them. Behavioral psychology shows that most of what we call decisions, they're not deliberative. They're automatic, subconscious, and built-in patterns. Our brain has just learned them over time. Nobel Prize psychologist Daniel Kahneman says the brain's decision processes are actually split into 2 systems. Look at this. System 1, fast, automatic, pattern-based decisions. Systems 2 are slow, deliberate, thoughtful decisions. You're operating on system 1 most of the day, on autopilot, especially when the small choices, you don't even notice them. That's why these feel invisible. Most people don't even register these as decisions, but they are. And they're dictating your outcomes, whether you realize it or not. One popular stat says we make about 35,000 decisions per day, and the majority, automatic, not conscious. So here's the question. Are your micro decisions pulling you forward or dragging you back? Chapter 2, the power law of effort. Why most hard work is wasted. Most of what you do, it's a waste. Not because you're lazy, because of the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. So you've probably heard of this, but maybe not in the context of your micro decisions. Roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. Most people miss the high leverage actions that are often tiny, boring, invisible, and you do them every day. Take Michael Phelps. When people ask what made him the most decorated Olympian of all time, he never talks about race day. He talks about the most mundane things. How he showed up on random training days when no one was watching. Phelps was actually obsessed, if you didn't know this, with his swim caps. His swim caps and also with his goggles. He was so obsessed with them and worried about every downside consequence. One of his micro decisions was every time he swam with his eyes closed. Because he just thought, what if one time my goggles don't work? He says it's not about excellence every 4 years, it's about how excellent you are right now on a Friday afternoon. Are you going through the motions or doing something to get better? That's Pareto at work. It wasn't one heroic swim, it was him deciding to shave every inch of his body where he got in the pools. That is a micro decision that he repeated every single time. A tiny percentage of his daily choices produce an Olympian. So, in your life, small decisions done consistently, well, there are a few that actually matter. And I want to drill down even further into that. 20% of the 20%, so just 4% of what you do, might be driving over 60% of your results. So if you're working 12-hour days and you're still stuck, it's actually not an effort problem, it's a focus problem. You're paying attention to the wrong 20%, and that's where the leverage is. And that's how you start building a life that scales. You focus on the right thing. So the question to ask yourself is, where is your Phelps razor? Where can you swim with your goggles full and your eyes blocked? Number 3, what happens if you ignore micro decisions? It's not just that you're missing a bunch of upside, there's actually a bunch of downside. Like the 23-minute text. So this is interesting.
Research shows it takes up to 23 minutes to fully refocus after just one interruption. And let's be honest, how often are you checking email, Slack, notifications? Most people, they check it 20 to 30 times a day. That's not multitasking. That's a full day of productivity wiped out by context switching. How many times have you thought, I'm just gonna check something real quick, and found yourself down an Instagram K-hole? Every one of those moments is a tiny leak in your ability. It's a tiny leak in your focus. And they're draining your bank account too. It's actually not the $8 coffee everybody's yelling at you about, including me sometimes. It's the 15 times you didn't think twice to distract yourself. Studies are actually fascinating. They show the average person spends $14 a month on things they don't even remember buying. That's $4,000 a year. And we spend more when paying is easy. That's like the real problem with how they're stealing money from you right now is frictionless financial spending. It's not even a budgeting problem. If you open up the app and you can double click on Instagram to get something straight to you, and the same thing with Amazon. So the pattern is shaped actually by your defaults, your micro decisions. And because they're small, you don't notice it. You wake up a month from now wondering, where did my money go? Why does it feel like I'm always behind? And these decisions are either going to help you make money or leak them. Like, for instance, instead of those micro decisions where you give all your money to Mark Zuckerberg, who I think he's there fine, he doesn't need it, you instead set up your automatic savings so that you're not spending all the time. You take out your 10 to 30% before you make a single dollar for fun or spending activities, and you auto make sure that you invest it in something like Wealthfront. That is a micro decision that is really positive. Chapter 4, real stories, real results. So micro decisions might sound small, but let's look at how big these could be. Like, for instance, Southwest Airlines, they only fly one type of plane. Do you know that? Boeing 737. Why? Same plane means the same training, same maintenance, faster turnarounds. Most airlines, they have a ton of different models. So other airlines have to have different engineers, fleets, complexity. Southwest was like, nah, we're gonna pick one plane, and that's why we're gonna become one of the most profitable carriers in the US. So because of that, Southwest actually made money profitably when most of the airlines did not. Let's go to Costco next. Costco doesn't rely on markup to make money. Their real profit comes from, do you guys know this? Membership fees. So one recurring micro decision, sign up and enroll. That's it. That, yes, makes them $4 billion in pure margin. More than they make on everything else they sell. One decision, infinite cash flow. And you don't even think about it. Now, you don't need to be UPS or Costco to use this. We've seen lots of people stack small decisions. Like, for instance, this is Bobby Pierce. So Bobby's interesting because Bobby, he was in our community and he started sending 5x more follow-ups to leads. He didn't hire anyone new. We just got him a faster speed to lead, which means that he made an additional 120K in revenue this year. Not bad. Or Jimmy Murray, who had a micro decision to offload sales using AI and led to 922K in new revenue. Remember, this isn't about a big breakthrough. It's about finding one decision that matters to you, locking in and letting it work every day without you. That decision to not get in the way of the leads and just allow somebody to respond immediately, yeah, that might be one decision once, but look how they compound. Now, you can have the best destination, but if you drift 1% off course every day, you're in a different city by the end of the month. One of the first real decisions you make when starting a business is your domain. It is the foundation everything else builds on. Grab your domain name early. Seriously, it's one of those 5-minute moves that pays off forever. The problem, most good .com names are gone. So you end up with something like besthvacsolutions93.com. That's why I like .online domain. You can get the name you want, like Cody.online. And in a world where trust is everything, that's leverage. So if you've been putting it off, go grab .online domain now before someone else does. We'll drop a link below. Chapter 5, the micro framework. So this is how you take all these ideas and you put them into action right now. I use this 5-step filter. It starts with M, which is notice the moment. Ask, why does this feel harder than it should? Why am I doing this again? You're replying to the same client question for the 3rd time this week. That frustration you feel, that's not bad luck or bad energy. That's micro decisions hiding. Friction is a signal. I, identify the lever. Ask, what's one step that repeats? What's the smallest change with the biggest payout? You keep rescheduling meetings because people don't show up prepared. The lever isn't better meetings. It's sending an agenda template before every call. It's making sure that they understand what the value is when they get on. Repetition equals leverage. C is constrain or cut. Can I remove this? Can I automate that? Can I set a rule so I never have to decide this again? You waste 15 minutes every morning deciding what to work on. So you set a rule. No email before 11 a.m. One priority task first. No debate, no willpower. Fewer choices, more freedom. And then R, reinforce what works. Ask, did this save time, money, or energy? Can I lock this in as a default? You batch meetings into 2 days, suddenly you get Fridays back. It's what I do, but I do that with Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you don't experiment anymore, you make the rule, which means wins only matter if you keep them. So you want to offload them forever. Oh, ask, can I delegate this, template it, or delete it permanently? Let's say you're asking the same onboarding questions every week. Record a loom, drop it in a doc, never explain it again. Every system is a silent employee. Think about that for a second. Every system you have is a silent employee working for you. This isn't about massive life overhauls. It's catching one annoying moment, turning it into a smart rule, letting it compound, maybe even using AI to do it. Chapter 6, positive versus negative micro decisions. Auto-saving 10% of every paycheck, setting a recurring gym schedule, replying kindly even when annoyed, scheduling deep work blocks, prepping meals once a week, reviewing bank accounts on Sunday. Any of these is a micro decision that's negative. So have more positive, less negative. Chapter 7, why this matters now. We're in the middle of a focus crisis. Your brain, your calendar, your money, they're all under attack. Right now, humans used to have a 12-second attention span, now it's 8. That's less than a goldfish. We have some people saying they're in 31 hours of meetings a week. The work week is only 40 hours. You get 60 to 90 notifications per day, and most employees context switch every 2 to 3 minutes. 92% of you are context switching during meetings. Also, are you context switching during this video? Yeah. But seriously, those small decisions are actually stealing money right out of your pocket. It's kind of like, the Buddha said, just be here now. If you can determine how to keep your focus in a world that is trying to steal it from you, you will make more money. So go back through this video, follow the framework, do these small decisions that you know you need to do every day, because those small decisions compound into your millions. Promise. You don't have to be richer, you don't have to be smarter, you don't have to be better looking, you don't have to have a better education than anybody else. You just need to make better small decisions. Oh wait, I want to show you something else. I've been trying to insert more Gen Z alpha terminology, so my team tells me I should say, here's the T, and this is my next idea for you. Snacks. I don't like to think about what they are anymore, so I only have little meat snacks that they put together for me. This would be not chicken, this is definitely steak, and this is bison meat. And I used to make this by myself. This was meal prepping. I do it every single Monday. Now I have a chef that puts these together for me. But that means that I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat, and I don't end up eating trash, which would happen otherwise. Okay, the next one is whisper flow. Basically, I don't type anymore. I just go like this. Hey guys, can you go ahead and send that for me? I'm a little bit late on the delivery, so I'll see you guys in 20 minutes, but you can start talking. Bam. There it is. I don't have to do anything besides text. Oh, by the way, it doesn't allow for that. Like, when it says duck all the time, if you don't mean duck, you mean something else. Whisper flow. Love it now. Okay, I want to talk about assistants, because you work less, they work more, but they make less money than you. I started out with an AI assistant. You could use one like Howie. Then I got a virtual assistant that's about $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. Now I have a real assistant, and she's a lot more than that. But you scale up. Also, why do you want to work yourself when you can use robots? I use Claude Code, and Claude Code basically allows me to make things that are like another agent that can do things for me. So you can check this out right here. I could basically, in real time, have it recreate a base case scenario of an underlying dashboard that I want to have. Looks like a bunch of stuff that you guys probably can't understand, but all I have to do is talk to it like a human. And it starts actually creating a real usable database that I can view in real time, which is pretty rad. And that database ends up saving me tens of hours, so I don't have to use a bunch of spreadsheets. Instead, Claude will code it for me. Also, what if you just save more time doing the things you already do? Let me show you this thing. So we built, I didn't, my dude built, basically a way for every single meeting that tracks how many minutes you are behind and how many minutes everybody has to go through during the meeting. So you don't have a bunch of meetings that run over time with people who are yappers and they yap up all your time. You know what I'm talking about? Not into that.
And the winner of season 4 of The Outstanding Artists goes to... Week after week, they pushed beyond their limits. Some discovered new strengths. Others found the confidence they never knew they had. After a season of growth, breakthroughs, and remarkable art, only 3 artists remain.
To get to this point and get eliminated just before one last challenge? No, like, The next challenge cannot be a fail.
They all have won one of the other prizes already. So it sounds to me fair that I win this prize.
Here's my challenge to paint something bold and paint something different. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and I did. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a win.
Different styles, different strengths, different stories. Now comes the final challenge that will define them all. What would you want to leave behind? For the next 72 hours, the finalists will have complete freedom to create a masterpiece that defines what they want their legacy to be. Once finished, their work will be unveiled at the Milan Art Gallery, where a live audience, including Society of Professional Artists members and returning competitors, will help determine the winner alongside our judges. After weeks of challenges, of experiencing the highs and lows that come with creating art, of constant critique and feedback, of source making and storytelling, of living and breathing art every second of every day, after all of that, it comes down to this one painting. One final chance to prove who is truly the outstanding artist. At the end of this video, one of these three artists is going to win $25,000. They have 3 days to create a masterpiece. Artists, are you ready?
Yes.
Your challenge, your final challenge, begins in 3, 2, 1, go. Stephanie entered the competition as one of the strongest technical painters. As a realist painter, she quickly established herself as a front runner during the skills phase. But as the competition shifted from technical exercises to artistic voice, we began to see a different side of Stephanie emerge through her unconventional interpretations of the challenges. That approach produced both triumphs and setbacks, from winning the Second Chance Challenge to placing 6th in the Jewelry Challenge. But through it all, she remained committed to seeing the world through her own lens. That willingness to trust her perspective, combined with her creative courage, ultimately helped carry her to the finale. Now, with the biggest painting of the season ahead of her, she's drawing on that same mindset that guided her all season to create something personal and unique to her.
With this, I'm painting from a photograph that I took myself. And I went on Easter morning and we went for a sunrise walk. So I went to my special spot. The birds were incredible. I got a picture of a spoonbill flying. The sunlight is coming through the palm trees, and there's a live oak with Spanish moss hanging down, and it's just like everything, and it was just perfect. I'm really excited because it's a very meaningful place for me, and it's really cool that I took the picture while we were doing this, so I'm excited about that. I'm intimidated by the size of the canvas. The one thing that I have to really try is to not go in for crazy detail, and so I know that ahead of time, and so I'm already like breaking it down into different sections, like how am I going to handle this section and how am I going to do it with big brushes and less detail. But that's one of the things, like, it's great to have this challenge specifically for this and pushing myself, and I don't have a choice. I have to do it. I have to do it in the time frame. So I think it's awesome. In order to win, I need to paint a painting that is really consistent throughout the painting. And so, like, all areas need to be with excellence, but at the same time, it needs to be true to how I paint and my voice. And I actually had the thought, like, I've been doing some collage in some of my paintings outside of here, and I don't normally do collage. And the collage things that I have would actually work really well for this. I'm like, oh, I could run and home and get those. I'm like, nope, that's not my typical thing. And so I think in order for it to be excellent, it just needs to be my typical, but to the nth degree. I need to, like, make you feel like it's the first sunrise ever. I want you to be blown away by the sun coming through the trees, is what I want.
From the very beginning of the competition, Ellis's artwork projected confidence. But behind that was an artist who often struggled with self-doubt and held herself to such high standards that she was constantly questioning whether she was good enough for herself. This competition has been about learning to trust herself, and that journey came to a head after the first round of eliminations when Bianca and Bree were sent home. Up until that point, the three had leaned heavily on one another for support, and Ellis wasn't sure if she could continue without them. However, after some soul searching, she found the confidence to trust her own voice, and from that moment forward, her momentum has never slowed. Now, with the finale underway, the question is no longer whether she's good enough. It's what she wants her legacy to say.
I had a hard time in the beginning to really find out what I wanted to paint him, and I think I gave myself too much pressure about this whole legacy thing. I think I just have to make my best piece yet, something that really connects with me and my story and the way I paint and the subjects I paint. And I think it's going to be one where my journey, like from where I came from, not being happy with myself and not feeling good enough, like to the point where I was hoping to get feeling good enough. The painting is definitely going to be around that subject. There's definitely something which is about my journey and where I think a lot of people can recognize themselves in. And I think I'm able to create my masterpiece, my best painting yet, if I am able to enjoy the process. But I also noticed, if I look back at the last 4 challenges, I think the previous 3 were better than the last one because there was pressure. So I do think that helps me to give it my all. It's already like a really exceptional position to be in. Playing the finale is, I think, something that I was kind of like.
Do I go with something that's really deep meaning for me? Might not seem as a super crazy painting, but it will mean more if it's that compared to something super complicated, you know? I think I'm going for the second one. I want to paint what it feels like to take the power back. Like, because I was drained out of power completely, and I felt like I found it the next day, which just seemed like a miracle to me. I know there is energy in every painting, and I know I paint a lot of things that I love or inspired by, but not every painting has a very deep emotional meaning to me. But this painting, although I think I will do it simpler, I I'm hoping that my deep emotions and understanding of what just happened will translate through that painting. And I hope I will not get nervous enough to tell that story, because I actually think I'm on a disadvantage here with stories, because the moment I start saying something deeply meaningful, I try to turn it into a joke. So it actually takes the weight out of it for myself, but also probably for people who are listening. I don't think you can plan a masterpiece, especially in such a short period of time. But if I paint something that is truly just happened to me and very, very meaningful, and I think can relate to a lot of people, that is my recipe, what I'm doing. I don't know. It seems right.
It's one thing to decide what you want your legacy to be, but it's another thing entirely to bring it to life on the canvas. 3 hours into the finale, it's time to check in and see how each legacy is beginning to take shape. How are you liking the painting on a big canvas?
It was a little intimidating, but now that I have it covered in just like somewhat of a layer of paint, my goal is to just stay in acrylics for the rest of the day and get that layer completely done today, and then I'll start with my oils tomorrow and do glazes.
Awesome. Are you having fun with it?
I am, yeah. Even though it looks crazy and it's a little bit hard to look at the like fluorescent because it's so much, I'm excited because I know what will happen as I keep working it. So I'm really excited to like see the bird emerge now and like start working around it.
I feel like this type of process is like really a practice of delayed gratification.
It definitely is. You have to be okay with the ugly stage. So when I paint live, I don't paint like this for that reason. I paint alla prima,
Okay.
which if somebody's sitting there watching me, there's no tolerance for, they're like, if they just sat down and watched me for an hour and just do this, they'd be like, she's pretty bad. So I just do alla prima when I do that, and so, but it serves me well because then when, in certain areas I don't need to draw it out first or anything. I can just go in and do it, but I prefer this method.
Yeah. When time permits.
Yes.
And now you have 3 days.
Counting down, it's already half the day is already gone, so
2.5 days.
2.5 days, yes. But it's doable. It's definitely doable.
Cool. Well, I'll let you get back to it.
Thanks.
Yep. How are you feeling about it?
Overwhelmed and tired. I don't really know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but I think compared to other paintings where I knew the steps, in this one, I'm kind of like intimidated by each new step. And I've painted on even bigger canvases, before. So I don't know, maybe because we went from 16 by 20 to 48 by 60 in 4 weeks, you kind of get used to very small, and it's exciting. I think every image looks better big.
Yeah.
So even if the source might be like, but once it's on a big canvas, I think it's gonna look great.
What's the goal by the end of the day?
Definitely get everything sketched out. Maybe start the tigers, like blocking in, because one tiger is gonna be very unusual for me. It's gonna be hollow on the inside. And I'm like, how am I gonna do this again? So I think it's gonna take me some time to understand how to do it so it is clearly tiger. Like I need an effect of it being empty but still look like a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea. And then the other tiger is gonna be completely opaque. So that's the idea of the painting that I'm not going into right now,
Mm-hmm.
which I told you about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Thanks.
Tell me about your process.
Well, making a mess. I always start with a lot of marks and washes, and then my inks, just to cover all the white and to have interesting things going on.
Tell me about like landing on that source, because I know you were working through multiple different sources. What ultimately made you like choose that one?
Every time I opened my laptop and I saw that picture, there was like something happening, something, I got like a little bit emotional even when I saw that. Finding myself again and embracing who I am and my journey, and like a lot of things where I was not happy with in the past years. And I think I'm finally at a point where I'm like, I think I can embrace that and embrace myself. And so that's what I wanted to put on the canvas.
So what's the process for the rest of the day? Like, what's your plan?
We have a couple of hours, so after I finish the inks, I will draw the image on top, block everything in acrylics. If I go fast, maybe I can have more than 50% of the acrylics. But we have some time, and I also like need to get used to the big canvas, so bigger brushes and stuff like that.
More ink,
More ink, yeah, more ink.
still a small blow dryer.
Yeah, but it has to be a low speed, because if you do high speed, it will go everywhere. You don't want to have that. So, but it does take more time to cover it, and well, you need more bigger shapes to make it not as busy. So for today, I will just hope I can end up at least at 50% of acrylics, maybe more.
Do you like working on this big canvas?
So far, yeah. I mean, I haven't painted really, so I don't know how it is when it's upright, standing up, and then like kneeling down and maybe get a ladder or something to the top, or a chair.
All right, well, I'll let you get back to it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Each story may be different, but all three artists are chasing the same goal: to create a painting worthy of the finale. With every passing hour, the moment draws closer when these artists will reveal the finished legacy they hope will earn them the title of the Outstanding Artist.
With the finale coming up, I would love to see each artist put their fingerprint on it. And I mean that not with their style, not with what they're comfortable doing, but this is their legacy painting. This is their masterpiece. If this is the last thing you ever paint, what is it? To get that view inside the minds and hearts of another person, let alone an artist at this level, I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Painting your legacy is a really serious thing to paint, and I am so excited to see what they come up with. How I would interpret that meaning in a painting would be whatever the artist has kind of overcome in their life, whatever battles they've faced, how can they flip that into the positive, triumphant version? That is their power, and like how are they going to pass that on and like leave their mark on the world?
I think all of these artists deserve to win in their own context. Stephanie is one that, you know, I think she has such a cool story. She's reached levels that the other two might not have reached just in life. I think that might put her as in an advantage. Thematically, I just want to see something in Stephanie's style, but I really want to hear the story behind it and have that match how beautiful a painting it is. I really want this to be exactly what the challenge is, your legacy. And I feel like I know Stephanie pretty well. I want to get to know her more. I hope she does something that is somewhere in between who she is and where she's going. And I really just want to see her stand in front of that painting with that confident smile and blow us all away.
I think Rita has some really strong things going for her because she has a very unique style where she plays with negative space. She has very interesting compositions. She also paints very quickly, so that is definitely to her advantage. But I think Rita could be a little bit more vulnerable when sharing her story behind the art. I think she gets in her head a little bit too sometimes, which can hold her back. Part of my doubt, to be really honest, is Rita did incredible in the last challenge for the romance, and what she did with the birds and the landscape took my breath away. I thought it was her best painting she's ever done. So is she going to be able to pull something off even better this time? Like, she made such an amazing piece. You know, how is this next one going to comparing the two in my head.
Ellis, I hope she steps out of her own way as far as really doing something bold, and what she comes up with is from a place of beauty inside her heart, and she just comes up with something that she can look at and just feel that can be the last thing I ever paint. I think there's a lot of room for her to fall into certain habits of overcomplicating composition or tries to do too much. I hope whatever Ellis puts on the canvas really reflects who she is as a person. She has such a beautiful presence. She's so well spoken. I want to see that confidence. I want to look at it without her in the room and say, damn, whoever painted that is an artist, and she's outstanding.
As the legacies of our finalists continue to take shape, it's worth remembering that the real story of this season isn't found only on the canvas. It's in the growth of the artists who accepted these challenges, and maybe even the ones at home watching who felt inspired to begin a creative journey of their own. Through successes and setbacks, moments of confidence and self-doubt, we grow whenever we're willing to challenge ourselves. It's that pursuit of growth, of self-discovery, that truly makes us artists, and we should all take enormous pride in that.
We created the Outstanding Artist 2-week challenge because we see a huge problem with artists everywhere. So many artists love watching other people create, but they struggle with actually doing the work themselves. And so we wanted to create this challenge to give you the opportunity to complete 5 real amazing creations in just 2 weeks. So over the next 14 days, you are going to be creating 5 real art projects in drawing, oil painting, and acrylics. You're going to start with the foundations, a contour drawing that's going to help you actually learn how to see like an artist. Then you're going to move into a fully rendered drawing of a horse's head in graphite. Then you'll learn how to use the intricacies of oils through creating a vibrant parrot. After that, you're going to take on probably my favorite challenge, the Monster Portrait Challenge. It's going to start out as a monster, but you're going to end up with something that's better than you've ever made. Then for your final challenge, you're going to go abstract. You'll get to watch Dimitra create an abstract and learn step by step how she approaches it, and then take on that freedom yourself. But here's the best part. You're not doing this alone. You're going to be taking this challenge with a bunch of other artists who are going through it at exactly the same time as you. And you'll get feedback on every single piece that you create in this challenge within 48 hours from one of our mastery program coaches. So you're going to post your work in the dedicated cohort community feed, and you'll get to see what all the other artists who are taking this challenge with you are creating too. There's so many people out there with beautiful art that is stuck inside them. And we're tired of hearing people saying, someday I'll do this. This is your someday. Your challenge begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
I learned so much during this experience, during the Outstanding Artist, not only about art, but also about myself. I learned that I'm capable of way more things than I had imagined. I never thought that I could create sources so fast and get so creative with all the challenges, so that's a really big accomplishment. But I also learned a lot about myself, my emotions, how I experience the highs, the lows, the myths, everything, I think. When I got a low ranking, all the self-doubt came back. Suddenly I was back in a position where I thought I was not good enough. But I also experienced the other side, the highs, which is super amazing to experience. And I think it's good that I recognize now all the stages, and I also have the ability to let it be there, and then after that get myself together and be positive again, and just accepting that it's part of me, part of my story, and I will be always a perfectionist. But I do think if I can embrace it and acknowledge it, it can help me in the future. Up front, I had the goal to make it to the finale, and now I'm so proud. I cannot even describe it. It's really special to be part of this finale. It's something that I had hoped for and wished for and dreamed of. I think it's only one word that can describe it, and that's being really proud of myself, how far I've came, and how many obstacles I've overwon. What part will stay the most with me, it's hard to tell now, because the first few challenges, it feels that they are miles away. It's like such a long time ago we did that, but it's only 4.5 weeks, and the last few days was only full focus on the finale piece, so that's in my head now. But I do think this whole experience was amazing, and I can see that it maybe will be life-changing for me. The way I look at myself, the way I look at my art, the way I think I feel seen with presenting my final piece. The overall feeling is just incredibly proud of myself that I came this far and that I made it and that I'm one of the 3 finalists, and that's something I could only dream of. It was an unforgettable experience.
I knew that this experience was going to be very difficult, and honestly, I learned that I rely on people's opinion a lot more than my own, and that I should change that, that I should listen to myself more and listen to my intuition, what it tells me. I think I came with big fear to not being able to create fast-paced ideas, which is I can paint fast, but I don't come up with ideas fast. So this has been the most difficult thing, and I had a fear that I won't be able to do good work because of that. I was honestly not in a good mental state, artistic state, creative state, but I am making peace with myself because being in a finale is a huge deal for me. Honestly, I didn't think I would make it this far. I had a lot of doubts that I am not good of an artist as other people think. The show has been very good for me. It showed me that I can do good work. I can troubleshoot. I can fix things if they don't work out. It helped me and proved to me that I need to keep moving forward and trust myself. I mean, this has been incredible. I can't describe it to anybody. I think digging really deep into why certain things mean something to me was very exhausting, but also very rewarding. So I think the experience of constantly like pushing myself, going deeper and deeper and understanding myself more, that feeling and that kind of urge to do that more will stay with me the longest. I think only this experience, this kind of push where it's physically exhausting and mentally exhausting can get you to something really raw and meaningful and really change you and set you up on a new path. So makes me happy. Everything that happened here was amazing.
So it's the last morning of the show, and I just want to share my final thoughts. It's been crazy. It's one of those things where I can't believe it's already been 5 weeks, but at the same time, I can't believe it's only 5 weeks. Like, time has no meaning. I hope when people watch it that they see the real me. It was hard not to be emotional during the show. And it's so funny because I thought in previous seasons, like, why is everybody so emotional? But I didn't give credit for what the lack of sleep would do and just the intensity of the experience. So I hope that everyone can see that this has been a really joyful process for me. I truly have enjoyed the whole thing, and I've learned so much about myself. I have learned not to listen to limiting beliefs. On the very first episode, there was a moment where Jake had a curveball for us, and he told us that we only had an hour to paint our painting. And my my painting was a chimp holding his hand out. Before the show, I had thought that there's no way I'm going to be upset by any of the like crazy curveballs that happen or challenges. And I'm typically a pretty even keel person, so I thought I was just going to take everything in stride. And I was honestly shocked by myself at my initial reaction of like, what? No, you can't do it. It's not fair. I can't do it. There's no way I can manage this. And then I just had a little talk with myself and was like, why? Why don't you think that you can do this? You've painted many faces before. You've painted many hands before. Just do it. What if, what if your life is on the line and you had to do it to save somebody's life? You can do this. It could be bad, but you can do it. And I did it, and it was good. I actually did really well with that one, and so that I think will stick with me for a long time. I've done hard things before, and I'll do hard things again, and so that's one of the things that I'll remember.
Every challenge this season has asked something different of these artists, not just as painters, but as people. As a result, they've come away from this experience with a deeper understanding of both their craft and themselves. Now, as the final day of work continues, let's check in and see how they're bringing those lessons into their final paintings of the season. Tell me about how you're feeling about this.
I feel better than I did when I walked in this morning. I have some areas, what I would call resolve, so that I'm not going to touch again. So now I'm just trying to resolve the different areas and bring them all to the same level of completion.
I remember, I think in the interview you said, I want this sunrise to feel like the very first sunrise we've ever seen. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I can't get it to glow more than that.
Yeah.
So
Radiant.
I want it to be a punch in the gut, kind of like.
Have you learned anything about yourself with this painting?
I learned that I cannot stay out of my left brain. I already knew that. It's really hard for me to abstract, and it's not as abstract as I would like it to be. This is so big, and you see the details more. So if it was all condensed, I'd be able to show this in a couple of brush strokes. And I'm trying to do that, but then I also don't, because of just the contrast, I don't want it to be just a dark blob. So how do you do that and have the light broken up?
What's the overall vibe that you've had while you've been painting this painting?
I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm nervous. I'm happy that I'm nervous. And then sometimes I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But in general, I enjoy painting, and so like I've said all along, I know realism is not most people's thing, but is what I do. And so I just want to represent that well.
Okay, well.
But, yeah.
I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me about how you felt while creating this.
It's been a roller coaster, for sure. Yesterday, I did not feel very good about it. And today, I'm feeling okay. I still need to find... I'm in the ugly oil stage. There's just... I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much to do. The oil, some things I'll have to just give up, refinement-wise, because there's no way I can do this big of a painting with the stairs and the tigers and all this stuff in oil in 2 days, you know what I mean? I'm thinking to add one more thing to this painting that wasn't initially my source. So that's gonna be fun. I don't know, but everything's wet and I'm I don't know what to do. So I really, really want to make it all work. I don't feel well today, physically, so I'm struggling.
Do you normally have this sort of roller coaster feeling with the paintings that you create back home in your studio, or is it just mostly on the show?
Not as much because I have time. I can walk away come back, nothing is pushing me, you know? It's like you need to give every painting room to breathe and some, you know, you can't rush it sometimes. So for me, it's kind of like a little bit of a ritual with a painting because I shared it with you, like I can have my own plan for it, but the painting always kind of tells you what it wants to become. And I have this like cool way to listen to it and like it's I don't know, it sounds like gypsy magic, but I like it. Like this is the cool part about making art. It's like you can't force it on a painting to become something that you wanted it to be, right? So with this painting, I'm very happy that I stuck with the idea. I had the vision for it and I went for it. And I think the story is very strong, which I was worried I wouldn't have a good story for a final painting, but I'm happy it came to me. But now I'm like, how do I do it the way that it's not just the story and like, well, yeah, I can see where she was going with it, but you know what I mean? So I need to find a way to make it impressive and go like have a good balance of a great painting and a great story.
I wouldn't feel discouraged. I think
Okay.
you have the makings of a masterpiece. You just need to execute it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How are you feeling?
Good. Enjoying it.
What's like been the vibe while you've been creating it that you felt?
Just a lot of joy. I really enjoyed making all the feathers, and I started with all the collage and the inks and the cool backgrounds. Although I was like a little bit terrified when I saw the white canvas, overwhelmed, thought I was not able to do it. But the moment I started, it was a way actually. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm happy with how it's been going and where I'm at. I'm about to switch to oils. I'm gonna do some adjustments in acrylic still, and then I'll go to oils.
What's been the most challenging part of this painting so far?
The face. She has a difficult angle, and the source doesn't have much information.
Mm-hmm.
It's really flat. That's why I see like this eyelid needs to go down a little bit. There needs some refinement there at the mouth. It's too wide here. And I was just doubting, like, am I going to change that in acrylic still? Or am I going to oil and change it in oil?
Mm-hmm.
But it's easier to do it in acrylic, I think, because it's just dry in a second here.
Yeah, and it's less risky, I would say. Do you write like little messages in your paintings often?
Yeah. Most of the times, yeah. It's just a little bit about the meaning behind it, and it will complement the story I have with it. And it's going to be faded a bit, so it's not that obvious, but I just wrote it down.
How do you feel about this painting compared to like previous paintings from the show?
I have the same feeling with this one as I had with the first painting after Illuminations, the one I won, which is to me a good sign. Well, it feels the same. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about it. I cannot wait to see it finished. It's so. It was so scary when it was a blank canvas, but now I'm so happy how it's going. So, yeah, we'll see it tomorrow. Shall I paint?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The finish line is in sight. When the artists put down their brushes today, their legacies this season will be locked in. And the next time they see these paintings, they'll be in Milan Art Gallery, where the judges and the live audience will decide who earns the title of the outstanding artist. In order to win, creating a great painting won't be enough. The artist also has to communicate the meaning behind their work and show why their legacy deserves to stand above the rest.
I really wanted to create a piece that holds a lot of meaning. Usually when I make paintings, I make them by just being inspired by something that just gives me energy or makes me feel happy or positive. In this painting, I think it's the first painting that I have done that does not necessarily hold just the positive side. I've been thinking why I haven't done meaningful art. I think it's just very hard to put your heart on a canvas. I think that's what happened, because I always try to protect myself, and if somebody doesn't like it, or if it doesn't get me, a win in the show, it will be a hard moment for me. I think I was always playing it safe. And then I'm just happy that I got to show the vulnerable side of me, because we all had moments in life when we just feel empty and don't trust ourselves and lose connection with ourselves. So once I explain the idea, I think it's pretty relatable to a lot of people. I do hope that me telling the story will go well with the painting that I've just done, but I think the idea is there and people will understand that I have a feeling, because we all have those moments. Although it was pretty difficult to go through the show, happy it happened just so I can make a painting that shows my journey through this competition. I couldn't ask for more than that. I'm so grateful that I have gone through a transformation here. I came here to have a breakthrough in the transformation and to win. And if I got one of these two things, I mean, I'm already pretty happy about that. As far as like my final painting, I'm really proud of it. So, but what I hope to show with it is just my appreciation for the beauty of the world we've been given and nature and how important nature is. It's really, the painting is also about light, and to me light represents energy, and it's this expression of happiness and joy, and the rising sun is really about perseverance, the light shining on a time after darkness. And that's, I know that's pretty not to be too dramatic about it, but I think what I want people to recognize, you know, I gave up a long career in medicine to do this, and I want people to see that I was not running away from something, but I was running to something. And so if I win, I guess it's a form of validation. And on the other hand, if I don't win, I don't need to win to be validated. I think just being here and being in the finale, my art stands for itself. But I am really happy to be doing this because, you know, I have patients that I cared for 25 years, and it was a really hard thing to leave. And I don't want anybody to think that it was a frivolous decision. And I also don't want people that didn't know me as a physician to think that I left because my career was a failure or that I was running away from something. I mean, I am so happy to be away from the stress. That was part of it. But what I was running to was my life that I have here right now, and what dreams I have for my life that I had put off. And so I think that's what I really want to be remembered for. And I really want other people to believe in themselves and to go for their own dreams. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I want to continue to be a role model for that. Anyway, those are my final thoughts before we go and paint this last painting. And the next time I see you, it will be at the finale.
I'm afraid my final masterpiece can give the first impression of just being an angel. So I really hope people go up close and read the poem that is written in there, and also hear about my story behind it, because it's way more than just a woman with wings. It's not an angel. It's about embracing yourself. The part of myself that I put into my final piece is that I think it's all about my journey from the past years. For the longest time, I had the feeling that I was not good enough, not good at something specifically. There were a lot of the things that I was average in, or a little bit above average, but nothing that I really stood out in. When I found art and now have this whole journey with the master program and the outstanding artist, it finally feels that it's an accomplishment and an approval to myself that I'm good enough in life, but also good in something in specific, and that's art. I really hope that part of my journey is visible in my piece. The piece is all about embracing yourself, not trying to be better for the approval from other people, but wrapping your arms around you and be happy with yourself instead of trying to be better. What I did for a long time was trying to do better, to get the approval I was looking for, but in the end, it's all about me and my own journey and embracing myself. And the whole piece I made for this final challenge is about embracing yourself. And that's an important journey for me, and I have the feeling that if people read the story or read the poem, that they can really resonate with it.
This is it. This is the final moments of season 4 of painting. They only have 10 seconds left in this challenge. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brushes down. With the final brush strokes laid, the work is officially done. It's time to take these finished pieces to Milan Art Gallery and present them to the judges and an awaiting audience for the final critique of the season. This is it. We are here at the gallery in front of a live audience. The artists are about to present their work to the judges, and we're going to find out who's going to win season 4 of The Outstanding Artist very shortly. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm so excited. It's been such a long journey, even though it's only been 5 weeks. We started out with 12 artists, and we're down to the top 3. I can't wait for you all to see the hard work that these artists put in to get to this stage where they're at right now. Each one of them has a special story and meaning behind their work, and you're about to hear that.
Congratulations, Rita, on making it to the finale. We'd love to hear the story behind your piece.
Thank you. I am very honored to be in the finals. When Jake announced the challenge to us, I knew I needed to do something special, not just a pretty painting or just a symbolism that is inspiring to me. I knew I needed to dig deeper and paint something very vulnerable. I wanted to show my journey that started a little bit, I would say a little bit before the filming started, and closer to the end, so last week probably, I felt that I was completely empty and hollow. We'll have these moments in our lives when we have to ask for help and understand that being completely empty means emptying literally everything out, not just inspiration, but also your doubts and all the negative things. So I wanted to paint a journey when you feel that you're completely empty. You actually are a vessel to accept the divine and maybe new purpose. Go upstairs. Literally just, look up and ask for help and come back whole with purpose. I felt like this story is not just what happened to me, but it happens to a lot of people in general. And we need to be vulnerable and accept that this is just a stage. And I wanted to show the tigers almost like moving. If you look at it, it's almost like a circle. So it's not just one-time thing that happens to you. You have to do it many times in your life, and just accept it and love that stage. That's how we grow. That's why I put a lot of nature elements around it. For me, it represents constant growth and ever-changing dynamic of our life in general.
What did you title this piece?
I titled it When the Light Finds You.
Is there any symbolism behind the bird?
Yeah, the bird literally flew into this painting. I did not want to include it, meaning like I did not include it in my initial source. But as I was painting it and I was thinking about it, something was missing, and I wanted to include a bird as a messenger or guide that helped you.
I really love that. I was going to ask you about those gold cracks in the background, and I was thinking of like that Japanese technique of the pottery. So
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. Definitely came across.
thank you.
I love how you painted the orange tiger, and we all lived through your story, so it's special to me to see you come out on the other side, victorious, whether you win or you don't win. There's so many things I love about this piece. There's a lot of really beautiful, magical things. I love the little subtle reflection of him in the leaf, even just how the front feet of the orange tiger is placed, the subtle light on his head, all of that. My one critique, you know I sound like a broken record, is the whites. I do think that this would be an even stronger piece if you introduced some more creamy whites, particularly on the head or perhaps in the back as the light is hitting it. Somewhere it would have benefited and unified the color more with the gold frame on that side. I wish that it looked brighter.
I knew you would say that. I did hear you saying creamy whites. There's some sort of resistance in me to creamy whites, and I think I need to find out why and just do it and see what is this resistance is all about. Like, why can't I use creamy white, off white? I was not happy today that my blazer today is off white. Like, I literally brought the wrong blazer. So this is how my relationship with white color is very weird. So, but yeah, no, I very, very appreciate all the feedback, and I'm happy it came through, like, the idea, because that was the biggest worry for me, and I think this is the most vulnerable piece that I've done. I realize I don't go deep into meanings of my paintings because I just have a mask, so I really want to push myself further in this direction.
I'm glad you said that. I personally feel like it seems like you've been getting deeper and deeper with the meanings of your art, and you are very deep and you have a lot of things to share. So
You're so close to literally wearing your heart on your sleeve. I think as you know, that's always scary, but if you lean into that, that is just one more thing that brings the client through the canvas to you. When they look at you, they are told your story or you're presenting your story. That's what I have found in my experience. People buy art.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful piece to end on. You should be very proud.
thank you.
Stephanie, welcome. Congratulations for making it so far.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear a little bit more about this piece.
This painting is very special to me because this is a photograph of one of my favorite places. The title of this is called Risen. I wanted a painting that really expressed hope, and I love birds in general. They're great symbols of both like place and emotion. In particular, this one signifies Florida for me. It's a special bird that I've only seen here, and I wanted to depict a sunrise because every morning we get a new day. We had a challenge about second chances and redemption, and one of the things that came to me was there always is tomorrow. And it's also about the light coming out of darkness, so there always is light coming. Jake asked me, what do you want to accomplish with this? I said I wanted to have it to be the most like epic sunrise you would ever see, and just have that feeling of like how it is in the morning when you happen to be awake and feel that glory of the sun coming up and the freshness in the morning. And again, it's all about that new day, that fresh start. I wanted to paint a piece that was really very much my voice, and I'm stronger in my voice. I am more confident in who I am, and I'm a realist painter. I've been experimenting and trying different things, but in the end, I keep coming back to realism. I love your story. I feel the same way about a beautiful sunrise and all the possibilities of that new day. My only critique I have is I do wish that some of the darks at the bottom got painted into. Maybe some of that light hit some things. It probably wasn't in your photo, but I think it would have added to the composition if you included some of that. And then I love how the spoonbill is very dramatically set against the dark, so you need the dark for sure. I just wish painted into the dark was just a little more information, a little more of the landscape, because I think parts of it tend to look a little flat. So that's my only critique.
I'm amazed that you got this level of detail in the time that you had. I was really curious how you would do in this last challenge because of your realism style, and so you did a great job. Thank you. There's nothing here that feels like unfinished to me. I do agree about the dark. That was kind of one thing that came to mind. Does the spoonbill have like a specific meaning to you? Other than it just a symbol of Florida, and I love wading birds. My dad was a wetlands biologist, and so his love was to go out and, you know, see all the birds. And this is one that I didn't grow up with. We had herons and egrets and cranes, and until I moved here, I didn't even know what it was. I'd never heard of it before. This is a place where we walk all the time, and so like my husband was there this morning, and there were like 12 of them in this spot. And so it's just, I mean, to be able to see that on a day, you know, on a regular basis is just amazing. So I forgot to mention too, I love how your dress matches your painting. It wasn't even on purpose. This is the first thing I saw, and I just gravitated to it. And then everybody said, I didn't even think that yet. And then the other thing I forgot to mention is I love how this is very personal to you, but in a very different way. You walk here every day. You're intimately acquainted with this place, and it plays into your love for realism because you've transferred or translated a moment in your life, you know, that realism into a painting. So thank you. Yeah.
I came in thinking you would have a big disadvantage with telling the story. Because I know your style, I've sold your paintings, I was thinking, you know, it's going to be hard for her to come up with all the, and I'm a story guy. I want to hear what it is that you're painting that I can convey to someone and make them fall in love with it. And I just want to thank you for really changing my mind. There's something so difficult about being photorealistic that people don't realize. And you've done such a great job explaining your story. Who hasn't walked on a morning and felt, you know, the crisp air and just felt this connection to some kind of higher spirit, just, and realized this is around me all the time. You did a fabulous job blending that. I mean, I feel like I'm sitting on a chair and having a moment. So I really love this painting.
Thank you. Yeah, great job. You should be very proud. Congratulations, Ellis. You made it to the finals. Tell us about your piece.
So when we got the challenge to make our masterpiece, I was first very overwhelmed because I was like, what do I paint for this masterpiece? And then I saw the blank canvas, which is taller than me almost. I really got scared. I thought, I'm not good enough to be able to do this. So this piece is called She Carried Gold from the Dark, because for a lot of times in my life, I had the feeling that I was not quite good enough, all kinds of things, always the second place, and that really like changed my perspective of myself. So I wanted to capture a piece where it's all about embracing yourself. And I think one of the darkest times in my life was after the hard breakup, which I had. And during that relationship, I tried for the longest time to be better, to try harder, to, like, if I measure the standards I put up there for myself, then I will finally get the approval and the validation I'm looking for. And after that breakup, I got like a lot of doubts about myself and the things that I did, and maybe I was, again, not good enough. So I worked really hard to overcome that, and I think I did a good job on that. But when I got the invitation for the Outstanding Artist, the first thing that popped in my mind, I'm not good enough for this. I am not able to do this, and what if I go out on the first challenge? And so I was really happy there was the six challenges to at least get in the flow before the eliminations were. When I came here, somehow I got totally maybe a little bit addicted by painting birds, and I saw the birds everywhere, and I'm so surprised. I never had that feeling. And when we got the challenge, I knew I needed to do something with the birds, but also with my personal stories. I wrote a little line in this piece: she rose from the fire, not to become someone new, but to come home to herself. And it's a reminder for me as well.
Thanks for watching.
But when I created this source, I also created some other sources, and every time I looked at this piece, I got this feeling.